Gail Miller from Aged Care Explained. Welcome to my Aged Care Mythbuster series. Today we're busting aged care myth number 17, and it's that I'll gift most of my money to reduce the cost of aged care. Please don't think you're going to do that. It's not allowable. The government has very strict rules around how much can be gifted in a certain period of time. It's actually $30,000 over a 5-year time frame. A man we know gifted a huge parcel of shares to one of his children, to his daughter. He'd actually given her a business years before that, and the business was located on a piece of land that he still owned. He got his knickers in a twist about something to do with the rest of the family and decided, I'll show you, and handed over all his shares to the land to this particular daughter. When it came time for him to need to go into residential aged care, his finances were in a bit of a sticky state. It was quite tricky. So the family fortunately were put in touch with an aged care financial advisor whose help was invaluable. Notice I said aged care financial advisor. He was accredited, he knew what all the government legislation was about. So in him finding out all the information about this family, he unearthed this big problem. Because you're only allowed to give $30,000 in 5 years, and this gentleman was already 2 years into that journey, the cost of care for the next 3 years elevated significantly because of him gifting that parcel of shares. I know this sounds a bit complicated. This is one of the reasons you need to see a specialist. So he went in as fully self-funded into a residential aged care home. He was paying the absolute maximum daily fee for 3 years, and then everything had to be adjusted at the end of that. It turned out that he was owed a refund by the government after that 5 years had elapsed. But in the meantime, his finances were stretched so tight that the rest of the family was thinking they were actually going to have to start to fund his care because things were getting really, really tricky. All of this could have been averted if they'd sought professional advice, or if he'd sought professional advice, instead of thinking he was going to be clever and get the money to this other child just to teach the others a lesson. As it turned out, the others hadn't done anything wrong. All they were trying to do was protect his money in case he needed to go into care and he needed a certain amount of funds for his deposit to get in there. So nobody was doing anything dishonest, but he got the wrong end of the stick and took the law into his own hands and made a real financial conundrum that had to be sorted out. And of course, by the time he needed to go into care, he was kind of so far being able to, cope with making any decisions about anything anyway. So it was the family who was left to sort it out. It was tricky. So the right type of professional advice at the right time can be absolutely critical. Stay tuned and we'll bust aged care myth number 18 very shortly.